This is the actual number 9. The other one, wrong sheet. Right. So this one is a little bit interesting because you have this -3, and then you have now, for example, if you were to multiply, right, and get rid of this -3 and just apply -3 exponent to everybody's inside, you would multiply this times a 5. That would be okay, but you can't multiply that -3 to the 4 yet because it's being controlled by this guy at the moment. So you would have to do this. So if you can remember that, you would multiply -3 times -5, this -3 times -2, this -3 times this -3, and this -3 times this 6. If you can remember that. If not, because this -3 can't be multiplying that by the 4. Because if you multiply that by -4 and this by -6 and this by -2 and then apply it again, you would get the wrong answer. So trying to figure out which one. So let's do this way. I think that's not going to confuse anyone. So what I'm going to do is simplify things inside the parentheses. So I'm going to leave that -3 here. So let me take care. So r to the -5th power. It's going to stay there for now. But there's a parenthesis here, and before removing the parenthesis, I'm going to remove it by multiplying the -2 to these guys. Now I get p to the -8th and q to the +12, because negative times the negative is positive. And down here is the same thing. This -3 it has to be applied to everybody, right? So this whole parenthesis is being multiplied by itself 3 times, or p to the -18th, q to the +15, because it's -5 times -3, and then r to +3, because again it's -1 times -3, negative times negative. Now the 6 also applies to the same thing, so I get q to the -6 and r to the 6. Now, if you want to, there's no parentheses inside. There's no you took care of this, you took care of this, and you took care of that. That's what I'm trying to say. Now you can apply this guy here much more comfortably. You can do it two ways, right? You can change that -3 to a +3, and the numerator becomes my denominator becomes my numerator, right? You can switch positions here, or you can multiply -3 times everyone. It's up to you. Okay. I am going to multiply this -3 times every exponent inside. Right, and likewise at the bottom. Right, so it's almost like distributive property, right? So let's see what we get. So we get, let's do the r is a negative times a negative, so I get r to the 15th. Negative times a negative again, I get p to the 24th. Q is going to be negative 36, right? Because one is positive, one is negative. At the bottom, p to the 54th, because 18 times 3 is 54. Q to the -45. R to the -9. Q to the +18, because -6 and -3 is 18, positive. And then R to the -18. There we go. Now the rest, guys, it's from here should be relatively very, very easy. All right, let's take care of the R's. And if you have a highlighter, I see some of you with highlighters, a great thing. Let's do the R. So R15, this is R to the 9th, this is R to the 18th. So essentially, these two are going to go up. So you're going to get R to the 15th, R to the 9th, and R to the 18th, all positive, right? So because these will go up. I'll do the addition later. P's, P to 20, well, the P's are actually, there's no traveling done, right? Because they're both positive in the numerator and denominator. So after I simplify, I'm going to have 30 P's left over in my denominator. Q's, all the Q's have some traveling. The Q to the -36 is coming down. Q to the 45 is going to go up. And Q to the 18 stays as it is. All right, so we got one more little step to do. Let's do the R's. 15 plus 9 is 24, I think. 24. So that's going to give me r to the 42nd power. P to the 30. And the q's, I have 45 q's on the top, and I have 54 q's at the bottom. After you simplify, you're going to have you have 45 q's at the top, and you have 54 q's at the bottom. We're going to have 9 q's, q to the 9th power left over, and that's my final answer. Now, I'll do the problem the second way. If you said, no, I want to multiply this right away, so that's okay. So let me see. So you would get, and then, actually, you don't need the parentheses. You would multiply negative 3 times negative 5, and you get r to the positive 15. Be careful here, because this is in parentheses, p to the 4th, q to the negative 6. This doesn't get multiplied yet. The number that get multiplied is this guy here. So that gives you positive 6, right? Which then is going to be multiplied by 4 and negative 6. So top is done. The bottom, now don't touch these yet. And then negative 3 and negative 3 is going to be positive 9. And then we have q to the negative 1, r, and this 6 multiplied by negative 3 is negative 18. And that's how you would do it. Now, this is gone. We can, on the top, r to the 15th, so that's done. These two get multiplied, right? So we get p to the 24, q to the negative 36. In the bottom, we have that 9 here multiplies by each of these guys, so we get p to the 54, q to the negative 45, and and that's supposed to be an r, by the way. This guy's supposed to be an r, and r to the negative 9. And then this one we get q to the 18th, because negative 1 and negative 18 is positive, and then r to the negative 18. Let's do a little traveling. So r, we have r15, r9 comes up, r18 comes up, right? So we took care of the r's. P24 and P54, that one, just like we did it before, we're going to have p to the 30 left over after you simplify. And this is exactly the same thing as we had before. We're going to have the q to the 36 comes down, the q to the 45 goes up, and q to the 18th is already down here. So there. Combine. 15 and 9 is 24, r to the 42nd if I remember correctly, p to the 30 down here, and q to the 9th, sorry, this would be p to the 30th, and q to the 9th, right? Because there's 45 q's on the top, 54 at the bottom, and if you simplify simplify them, you'll realize you're going to have 9 at the bottom. And that's it. 11. Okay, so let's do 11. Take a picture. Is that it? Is that 11? Yeah. Now 11 doesn't have, well, 11 is actually easier than 9. Not easier, simpler. All right, we can take care. So the only thing, we have to take care of this guy, and this guy. And then we can start simplifying. So let's do that first. Again, if you look at this, so you could start the problem like 6 squared, q to the negative first, times, and you want to put this whole thing as a fraction, right? P cubed, q to the negative 4th, r to the negative, make that into a positive exponent over 4p q to the negative 3rd times 2. And again, and this, because it's negative, we move it up. I don't think any of you want to do that, right? Or start that way. So I think the more, the more comfortable way is to just, 6, here's 6 to the 2nd power, q to the negative first. There's nothing to do there, but let's multiply these, right? So we're going to get p to the negative 6th power, q to the 8th power, r to the 2nd power. Done. Now let me put a 1 and a 1 here. So we're going to get 4 to the 2nd power, p to the 2nd power, because that 2 here, right? This 2 is multiplying every exponent inside. Q to the negative 6th power, because 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then this negative 5 multiplies with the 4 and the negative 1. So we get q to the positive 5 and r to the negative 20. Done. Let's move on. Let's do the coefficients. We can. 6 to the 2nd power is just 36. 4 to the 2nd power is just 8. So this and this is done. There is some traveling, right? There's some movement here. So let's take care of q. Q to the 1st power. And I'm going to change that. It comes down here. I'm not even going to write 1. Done. Another q. Yeah. Q to the negative 6th power. This one's going to come up. Q to the 5th, this one stays as it is. I'm going to write it right next to the other one. Actually, I will write the one there. The Q's are done. Let's do, oh no, there's another Q here, and Q to the 8th power, that stays up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 Q's. Okay. P's, maybe I should highlight. P. There's one P here, another P here. All right, let's see what we do. The P to the negative 6th power comes down. And P to the 2nd power is already down, stays down. Let's write them side by side. So Q's are done, P's are done, and we have the R's. Okay, R to the 2nd power, that stays up. R to the negative 20th power, which is in the denominator, now travels to the numerator, becomes positive. There, we can simplify that. 36 divided by 8, we can divide top and bottom by 4, we get 9 over 2. The Q's, well, we have 6 and 8. We have 14 Q's here. All right, 14. We have 6 here. So we're going to have some leftovers in the numerator, and that's going to be a total of 8. Right? So, because remember, this Q to the 1st, Q to the 5th, and Q to the 6th can all simplify. And I'm left with Q times 8. Q to the 8th power in the numerator. R's, well, there's nothing in the denominator, so I can just add these two, and I get, add the exponents of these two, R to the 22nd. P to the 6th times P to the 2nd is P to the 8th. There you go. I think that's probably the less path which I will commit less errors or less chances of committing errors. That's right. All right, so that was 11. Thank you, Terrance, for choosing that one, and he chose 15. Okay, last question. It's the whole day anyway. What else do we have to do? All right, at least the exponent is positive. The outside exponent is positive. So at least. All right. So, like the first problem, number 9, if you want to get rid of the exponent, you multiply this and this, not the negative 5 and negative 2, okay, that and that, that and that, that and that, and that and that. And then the product of that applies to each of its respective parentheses. If that's, okay, and then if that's something that's going to be a little bit complicated, then why don't we simplify what's inside here first and then raise it to the 2nd power? We can always do that. But let's look at the first parenthesis. So the first parenthesis, we have this guy here. That should be multiplied by these, this, and that. And then let me put a 1 here, a 1 here, and that's it. So we actually get 3 to the negative 2nd power, x, and I'll put that in, 3 to the negative 2nd power, x to the 10th power, y to the negative 6. Second one here is going to be, again, not that 2, this negative 3. These two, we're going to get y to the positive 15 and z, I'll put a z, to the negative 6. Parentheses, parentheses, and that 2 is still outside. At the bottom here, over 3 to the negative 4th power, x to the negative 4th power. The y is going to be negative eighth power times, and then again, this negative 2 is multiplied by the 2, by the 3, by the 4. So we're going to get x to the negative fourth power, y to the sixth power, and z to the negative eighth. Okay, so we can still simplify things that are inside. Okay. Put it like this. You could now multiply this 2 over here times every exponent inside, or we can make this whole thing, we can make this a little bit smaller, right? And then raise to second power. Which is what I'm choosing to do. So let's take care of the first one. This 3 to the negative second power comes down, becomes 3 to the positive second power. 3 to the negative fourth power goes up, becomes 3 to the fourth power positive. X10 stays. Y to the negative 6 is going to come down here. Do it in order. Y to the 15th stays up. Z to the negative 6 comes down. X to the negative 4th goes up. Y to the negative 8th goes up. X to the negative 4th comes down. Y to the negative 6 stays down. Z to the negative 8th goes up. We can still simplify this. Right? So 3 to the 4th, 3 to the 4th is 9 times 9, that's 81. Think about it, that's 81. This is 9, so 81 divided by 9 is just 9. It becomes 9, so done. These two are done. Let's do the x's. X10 on the numerator I have, well actually, if you look at this, I have x to the 10th times x to the 4th and x to the 4th at the bottom. So x to the 4th and x to the 4th can go away. So literally all I have is x to the 10th power. The y's, I have y to the 15, y to the 8th, y to the 6th, y to the 6th. Well, on the top, y to the 15 and y to the 8th is the same thing as y to the 23rd, yeah? Y to the 6th and y to the 6th is the same thing as y to the 12th. Well, if I subtract these two, right, if I simplify, I'm going to cross 12 y's from the bottom, 12 y's from the top. Where am I going to have left over on the top? How many? 11. So the y's are done. Z, z to the 6th and a z to the 8th. That's easy. Just two z's here on top left over. So that's it. And then raise to the second power. Now, my denominator is just 1. I didn't know there was no denominator, so we're going to get rid of it. So now I can finally multiply the outside factor times the simplified version inside. 9 to the second power becomes 81. X10 times 2 becomes x to the 20th. Y to the 22nd. And z to the 4th. And that's my final answer for this question. Okay. So as long as you apply the rules, sometimes you can change the order. You should be okay. Okay. So my only thing with this problem is that, you know, this 2, if you were to start by multiplying that 2, right, to get rid of that exponent because it's positive, just make sure you can't multiply that 2 times this negative 5 right away because you didn't take care of this guy. Okay, so it's negative 5 raised to negative. So if you think about it, it's negative 5 raised to negative 2 raised to 2. So you're gonna, it's power of a power to a 5. If you multiply those 3, then you're okay. It'd be negative 5 times negative 10, which is negative 20, times raised to the second power again, which is, negative 5 times negative 2, which is positive 10, times 2, which is 20. That would be okay, but I don't want to complicate things. So my suggestion was probably to simplify things. So pretend this 2 is not here for now. Okay, pretend that 2 is, leave it for last. Take care of the inside part, simplify it a little bit, and then raise it to the second power. Okay? All right. There's 3 videos for 8 little questions. Sorry I had to break them up.